Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pabs, the Rising VTuber and artist, and today we're going to be finishing this page's lines. We've been going for like 4 different streams at least. Oh my god, this is dragging on. It's dragging on, and I do not appreciate it. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure we only have this last panel left. Like I said, most of the right half of this top panel, middle panel is going to be covered with speech bubbles, so that's fine. Then over here we have. Oh, I didn't even notice that I'd actually fixed up the pose to match the next panel. That's actually pretty clever of me. I didn't even realize I'd done that. I mean, I definitely did that on purpose. In any case, we just have this last panel to do, so let's get to it. I'm hungry for it. I don't know if I should start the coloring process now. I don't know what's the better method for it, because I don't particularly feel like moving on to coloring just yet. Like, I'm kind of sick and tired of this page, so maybe later. Alright, here's how we're gonna do. I'm going to grab a special ruler for a parallel line, and I'm gonna make it like in this direction, like the direction of Hawk's laser pistol. So that way, we can just kind of, yeah, like that for Hawk's silhouette. I don't know if y'all saw the effect that I did just there. I want to make it, so hang on. Let's start over one more time. So maybe dragging it from here outward, but then that still leaves the line out here. So the idea is that they go like from thin to thick from the left-hand side. So maybe like this. Okay. Okay. That should help with that. We'll bring that ruler back once we start doing the other laser shots and whatnot. But for the time being, we can get rid of it and just use ordinary line art. Over here. One of those sayings that I think on a lot is that one saying of, I'm not quoting it verbatim, but I do remember there's this one saying that's like, work will expand to occupy the amount of time it's been allocated. And to kind of simplify what that means is that if you have a task, right, and and somebody says, all right, you have like 5 days to do this thing, you're going to take 5 days to do it. You know, it might not even like take you 5 days. You know, you might be dicking around a little bit for a bit of those 5 days, but ultimately it'll take you 5 days. Conversely, you got a sort of if you were asked to take care of the same task in maybe like 4 days, you would be able to complete it in 4 days. Now, I have problems with this maxim, not just because of the kind of like. I think my main issue with it is the fact that it kind of implies that, you know, in kind of asking, okay, then where did the rest of those hours go that you were assigned to it? You know, I feel like it implies that the reason that they went away is because like you're lazy, or that you're not actually like working as efficiently as you could be under stronger constraints. But the thing is, you don't always have like what it takes to go on all cylinders, right? I feel like that's also an important part of the conversation, is that constantly, somebody who might be able to squeeze that 5-day work block into 4 days can probably do it once or twice, but like it's not going to be like an every week kind of thing. It's not going to be like that. That should not be their expected output forever. So I think that's my main issue with it is that like when somebody is like, oh, okay, so you can do it in that amount of time. It's like, yes, once. I can do that once. Do not assume that this is like my ordinary capabilities. I don't know. There's a lot of things that are just very humbling, often in kind of even unintended ways, right? Like for example, I generally like to think of myself as rather unstoppable, but then I get these things happening throughout the weekday that show that I am very much stoppable. In fact, perhaps like the overwhelming amount of time I do find myself being stopped at certain opportunities. But that's how it goes. In any case, I'm kind of wondering if there's some kind of like inversion of that saying, right? Like if you don't properly schedule rest for yourself, or rest isn't scheduled into your schedule, so to speak, does that also create the axiom of like whatever time you don't schedule to rest will be consumed by work? Like if you frame it that way, the kind of like ordinary reverse of the saying almost seems ridiculous. And yet, very often I find that that's what happens with me. Right? Like sometimes I will be like, if I'm not like explicitly going like, no, I'm gonna take it easy for a little bit. Like even if I do that, sometimes I'll also be like, but what if I undertook a massive project? Since I've kind of cleared my schedule. I don't know. When I was a kid, I think it was particularly during one summer. I think like my parents were trying to like encourage me to study a lot, but all I wanted to do was like play fucking Fallout. Hey, bunny. Yeah, all I wanted to do was play Fallout, and like eventually I had like a mini crisis of like, they kept saying like, oh, you can play video games later, man. You should really kind of study now though. Which fair, that's true. But at the time, I was like, but then if I'm always like working and studying, what am I going to have the time to play the games and do the things that I like? So I had a mini crisis about that. I was like, oh god, when am I going to have that time? Nowadays, it's almost kind of the opposite. I'm itching to get to whatever next thing I have to do, but then I have to. It's almost like a different kind of work has overtaken the area in my brain that used to be occupied by video games. Some might argue that that's a benefit. I certainly would. But at the same time, it is a little bit tragic, right? I don't know. I've lost my elite gamer mindset to shit like actually accomplishing things and enjoying a hard earned enjoying the pleasure of a job well done. God, I really should learn to take it easy more often. In any case, the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I ended up working until like 11 p.m. yesterday for my day job. There are a couple of emergency things to do. I think it's just like a bad timing sort of thing, but it is what it is. It's mostly all been resolved by now. Well, kind of, mostly. I don't really care. I'm rolling off the project this week, so that's a them problem from next week onward. Okay. Okay, then over here we'll have the grenades. It must be a little bit stressful, you know, putting myself in Hawk's shoes. It must be a little bit stressful having this kind of rain of laser fire on you, and knowing that you've got like 15,000 grenades like just hung over your shoulder like this. I feel like I would be a little bit more stressed than she is. I guess that's why she's the protagonist. Okay, then we put this thing over here. And then we also have one of the laser shots actually hitting right here on her shoulder. I don't know. Are those lines too thick? I feel like the lines are a little bit too thick over here. Adjust line width, scale down. There we go. Oh yeah. Speaking of Fallout, I've recently put my money where my mouth is and started a new playthrough of Fallout 3. Literally right before stream is when I started the playthrough. Because I had a little bit of free time and I was like, maybe I should do something. And so I've restarted my playthrough of Fallout 3, and man, it is fascinating the way the writing has aged. Not necessarily poorly, it just feels stunted. I don't know. How do I put this? There's something about writing in old Fallout games that gives you like the option to be the rudest, most sassiest little bitch in the wasteland. And I feel the spirit of that in the writing for in like some of the starting options in Fallout 3. And of course there's also, this is made even funnier by the fact that you're like 10 during most of these scenes. So you just have this child who is just like petulantly being like, "Man, why the fuck? What you showed up to my birthday party with the? How did that one vine go? Like you didn't show up to my birthday party with a gift or something? Hang on, birthday party vine, like." Lyrics. Lyrics is the only way I can think of it think about it. So you just gonna bring me a birthday gift on my birthday to my birthday party? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, how dare you bring me a gift to my party on my birthday party? God. It was almost exactly like that. Like half the choices were just like the most obsequious little like, gee willikers, mister, thanks a lot for this half-eaten Cheeto. And half of them were like were like just happy birthday to the ground type shit. It was so funny. God. I have like an allergy to being mean to video game, like choosing the mean dialogue options in video games, even though I can be very mean in real life. So a lot of these were kind of tempting to do. I didn't use them, but like I was like, huh, you know, it would be kind of funny if this kid just like stood on business all of a sudden. Also, because I'm playing the game for the first time, not being like 15 years old, I'm actually starting to pay a lot more attention to like some of the stuff going on under the hood. Like at one point during this said birthday party, you're like going away to a different part of the vault, and you can actually like see the overseer of the vault, basically like the president of the vault, go up to his office, and like he's just snuck away from the birthday party too. He's like going back to his office to like do overseer things, presumably. I don't know what he does in there. And he straight up tells like the guard working like outside of his office, like, all right, yeah, no, that party sucked ass. I only did it because that kid is like friends with my daughter. Go break it up in like a minute or two and tell him to get back to work. And I'm like, oh wow, you are such a dickhead. Nothing in my life will like establish to me faster that a character is just kind of like a petulant dickhead than them being like get back to work, just straight up without like any kind of justification. If you are a cop about like work responsibilities, I do not trust you as a character choice. All right, let's just flip this thing over. I think we could make a pretty effective like talking head out of this. It almost looks like a little bird, doesn't it? Hang on. Hello, I'm Pelly the Pelican. My frame rate isn't fast enough to talk properly. Oh shit! I wrenched out Perry's like new Tamagotchi. Yeah. Actually, come to think of it, I never really thought about how big like the lips on some of the Tamagotchis are, or at least that one specific Tamagotchi, the little green dude. I do forget his name. Weirdly enough, I do remember him vividly because I do remember seeing a Tumblr post about somebody providing instructions on proper care and routine when taking ibuprofen, which not like the first place I would have assumed I would have seen him, but thanks for that, little guy. I guess I'm more of an Advil kind of guy. God, I bought a. I'm one of those people who like ends up buying way too much of one thing whenever they need it, just in case they ever need it again. Case in point, I bought like 2 bottles of Advil back when I got my gum graft surgery because I thought that that's literally how much I would need. I thought I would be in pain 24/7, but because my dentist was too goddamn competent, I only ended up using like at most like a quarter of one of the bottles. Seriously, my dentist was like the guy that treated me was really good, nice with it. Healed up really good. In any case, because of that, I've still got like a bottle and a half of Advil rolling around. I don't get sick very often, and I don't get headaches very often, so it's kind of just chilling. Well, I guess I should be grateful that I'm not in pain constantly. Rather than it being kind of a burden that I haven't used it, I should take it as a sign of gratitude. Still, it is just taking up a lot. It's just like unnecessary bulk. Adulthood is just preparing for things like stomach meds and migraine meds. Actually, come to think of it, I should probably get some more stomach meds soon. I recently used up my last little envelope of what do you call uh that stuff that like fizzles in water, that kind of like sodium stuff. I see we are not the same. Oof. You know, I'm grateful to have a pretty healthy body, but even so, it's good to be prepared. It's nice. It's better to have it and not need it, and than need it and not have it. However, recently, one of the wires on my permanent retainer snapped, and that sounds like it could be really bad. It's kind of not. The most inconvenient thing about it is that it did have the truth. Yeah. The most inconvenient thing about like the wire on my retainer snapping is that it created like this, shall I say, pokey bit inside of my mouth. It was not the situation in there was like pretty dire, but then the when I called the thankfully the dentist's office had like an appointment open on Monday, and I was able to go out there and just get that over with. You know, they what they ended up having to do is that they ended up having to file off a little bit of the permanent retainer, and then they just glued it to the to the nearest tooth. So it's pretty much resolved by now. I am one tooth down on the permanent retainer, so I'm gonna try and see if they can't like get me a one of those like external retainers that I can just wear when I sleep to take care of that. Because it costs a lot of money to get these teeth into the right place, and I'm not about to like let that go to waste. But yeah, one of the things that really saved my bacon during the time that I had the wire snap, because I had it off, like the wire snap was a kind of weekend event, if you will, because of the fact that it snapped on Friday and I had to get the appointment on Monday. Actually, I'm grateful that I was able to get the appointment on Monday. Period. But the what do you call the thing that really saved my bacon during this time is this thing called like orthodontic wax, which is this very neat thing. It's literally just wax, but it's this specialized wax that you can just put on your braces and such. It's especially useful apparently when you have like new braces or just something new in your mouth that you're not used to. When that happens, you often try to like run your tongue over your teeth because of the instinct to like figure out, hey, what the fuck is this new thing, right? That happens to me every single time I get my like dentist appointment for hygiene because I like the wires on my permanent retainer feel so smooth and like clean, and I'm like, oh wow, what's going on over here? In any case, I used to use it. I think when my braces got tightened, yeah, that would be the ideal time to use it. But yeah, it is used for precisely that kind of situation. Where is the bottom of Hawk's cap? Hang on, there we go. But yeah, I had no idea that the stuff even existed. It was supposed to be available. I had to try out two different pharmacies before I found it, but I did eventually find it, and it's quite a relief that I did. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Okay, then over here. Could I like hang on? Could I also use the ruler on the steam? I think I could actually. Hang on. Let me try something. Let me get rid of all this junk here. Okay, then we undo the ruler. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I feel like it kind of captures what I'm going for, but maybe I need to like remove this first half here and have all of this part here just move up. But yeah. God, it's moments like that though. When I got the orthodontic wax, it's kind of moments like that where I kind of want to know what everything on the shelf that does that's like over the counter stuff. Like I wish I just had some dude at the pharmacy who I would do like, oh, what was this one do? And he would be like, oh, well, you see, that one's a very special one. You use that only like when you have a wart, but very specifically on your right pinky of your left foot. And I'm like, oh wow, that's great, that's incredible. You know, I kind of wish I could do that for like an afternoon, but I don't know how many people there are who are just like intimately familiar with over the counter medicine. I don't know. I feel like most people's familiarities with over the counter medicine usually arise from the need to use them, right? Due to like the cost, obviously, of medicine, you don't generally buy anything that you don't need. It's not like say people who collect like Gundam or something, right? It's not generally like a collectible. It first of all, it can expire, which puts a damper on things, and second of all, it's generally I don't know. It's like a rare medicine collection habit more sustainable than a Gundam collection habit, or vice, I guess, as a collectible thing. I mean, if you think about it, a real grade unicorn Gundam takes like 5 days to build. Maybe I don't know. I've never built a high. Like wait, no, high grade is like the weakest one. Like a real grade Gundam unicorn takes like 5 days to build, and you know you can get like a rare medicine just over the counter at like your local CVS for $20 in like 2 hours, depending on how far the CVS is. Like maximum 2 hours. I can't imagine it being much further than that. Hmm. Hang on, I'm gonna look up. Hang on, rare meta. I mean, like when I look up rare medicine collection, I'm worried that I'm going to get like traditional Chinese medicine. Okay, there's rare medical books, which is interesting. Hmm. Collecting over the counter medicine. Safe disposal of prescription drugs. What should I do with old expired medication? Huh. I guess it's not that big of a culture if it is if it exists at all. I mean, it has to, right? Like there has to be some dude out there who's just like being like, "Oh wow, a Nyquil vial from 1999. Ah, baby, this one's going on the top shelf." There has to be at least one dude out there like that. I believe that there has to be at least one person like that. There's this very old webcomic, Eggwood, that hasn't aged well in a lot of respects. But I one of the comics from it that I remember the most is that one of the characters needed to have like a garage sale, and because like he needed extra money, to scrounge up extra money, and one of the things he accidentally left in the sell pile was an undone like tax set from like 1996. And he was like, and somebody picked that up, and it's like, oh wow, a mid set of C01s from 1996. Hey, how much do these go for? And he's like, oh, my bad, I didn't mean to have those there. Let me toss those out. And, and his buddy has to stop him, like, no, no, no. What he means to say is that we'll give you like $15 for the whole thing. And the guy who's like buying the expired tax forms is like, this time I'll do them right. Apparently, he had some kind of haunting experience filing his taxes wrong in '96. I think was the punchline of that guy. God, I could easily see that being myself in the future. I've managed to file my taxes correctly 2 years in a row now. Or if I filed them incorrectly, nobody's noticed yet. I filed them correctly to the best of my knowledge, and that's literally all they ask for. If I fuck up from there, then we can work it out. But yeah, I feel like if I ever fuck up the way I file my taxes at any point, I'm gonna have like a complex about it. I'm gonna try and like redo them just to like, comfort myself. Hmm. Well, I say that. I don't know. I don't. I don't really see the kind of closure that might really give. Right. I can kind of understand the punch. I obviously can understand it as a punchline, but in terms of messing up and like trying to go back and proving that you could do it, I've never had a closure quite like that. Or rather, I've never found closure in doing things quite that way. Okay. Should I put the lines up here maybe a little bit higher? Kind of missed a few here. There we go. Then over here. Which which line is this? There we go. Okay, I think with that we're pretty much done with the line art for this page. I think we can probably move on to the next page. I think that would be the best course of action. Like I said, I'm kind of sick of looking at this one. So let's move on to the next one. Ah, crunchy wrists. Did I use a model for this one? Okay, I didn't use. I was gonna say. I feel like I maybe used the model for this one, but no. It turns out that I only did it for this second panel here. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do right here. I'm gonna grab the model from this first panel. I'm gonna plug it down here. And once again, I'm going to turn the scaffold and everything back on, which is going to be like 50 fucking things. Oh, they have a second directional light here. First time I've seen that one around. They need to invent a model or method to select multiple things to be on or off. Because going one by one on these is kind of obnoxious a little bit. I made this part here of the laser a little bit too huge. Hang on. Can we like maybe futz with the perspective to hang on? What's manga perspective? I've never understood what that does. Adjust the okay, manga perspective. Adjust the intensity of manga perspective. This setting is only available when the manga perspective's projection method is set to perspective projection. What does that mean? What do you mean by that? Let's see. Camera. Oh, I see. Okay, okay, projection method. Here we go. Here's a brief description of each one. Projection method. Perspective projection adds perspective to 3D materials. Parallel projection, the sense of perspective disappears and objects near and far appear to be the same size. That sounds crazy. Let me see that. Oh, I see. Okay, so parallel projection is just bringing it further away or closer. I see. I think I understand. Okay, I'm gonna make this thing look a little bit more squat than it actually is by putting it over here. Is this within the panel? Not quite. A little bit further away, a little bit over here. Should be kind of flying overhead like this, I think. Then maybe. Hmm. How's that look? It fulfills pretty much the same thing. This panel might be a little bit tough to do, but I think I can probably brain it out. Hmm. Okay. This pose reminds me a little bit of that one. Hang on. Have you guys seen that one picture of Spider-Man of like the Sam Raimi trilogy Spider-Man of the not a Garfield, yeah, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man with another person jumping in front of him. Hang on. Hang on. Spider-Man jump with another person in front. It's so difficult to describe exactly the way that this looks. Yeah, okay, I can't find it right away. But yeah, it kind of looks like this, but with like another person striking the exact same pose, jumping in front of him. Your work is always very dynamic. Thank you. Okay, here's what let's do. I'm gonna put all of these into one folder. I'm gonna check if this time I'm gonna check if the time lapse is on. It is not. Haha. Score one for team that remembers things. That's what they call me. I'm the rememberer. All right, hang on. Where's here it is. Okay, then down here, let's slice this one in half again. Perfect. 3 panels, nice and easy. Oh god, this is gonna be such a mess to do. Maybe hang on. I remember I had the kind of bandolier of grenades over on page 9. Let me see if I can just grab that and maybe even remove the person in there to create the same effect. Yeah, right here. This should be feasible. Is this the one? No, okay, that's not the one. Come on, one of these has the grenades. This one. Yes. Okay, so let's just move these guys. Oh, that works perfectly too. So then we can just control the roll, pitch, and yaw of the camera. And now, am I? They seem to be floating away. Can you come back? I'm not done with you yet. Should I even hang on? Is there a way to check the underside of the camera here? Oh, I feel like I'm working with some dark magics. Oh god. This feels like herding cats. The cats do not have the same instincts as sheep. They are unwilling to be led around. Wait, hang on. We might be back. We might not be back. What is happening? Maybe if I go like this. All right. This is strange. Let's just reset the camera angle and then work from there. Hell, this one works even better. What am I fucking around with these for? Okay, then over here. Put this one back here. Move it around like so. Nah, something about this isn't clicking. What if I selected all of these at once? Ooh, this is much easier. Hang on. Okay, I don't have. Oop. Might be onto something with this. Hang on. Okay. Make them a little bigger, actually. Maybe even flip these around. Okay, if I follow just what I have over here, you know, what's on the bandolier right here. Okay, bring this over here. I see what I was going for. Okay. I think one of my worst habits is that, well, I guess this can happen to anyone. But something that I get very frustrated with myself about is how long it takes me to kind of get back into the groove of things if I've forgotten something. Sometimes it does take me a while to kind of jog my memory about why something is the way that it is. And usually by then I've already started working on it in a different way. So it's just a little bit of wasted effort. I don't know though, it's not always that bad. And usually at some point I can figure it out. Okay, then over here. Bring this closer to the camera, switch this around like so. And even make these ones in front a little bit bigger, just so they have more impact. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. That being said, I do want to try one more thing, which is to make sure that the grenades don't look like they're all they felt like you see how now the lines from the handles make a curve rather than a straight line. That was bugging me. Hmm. And then maybe even like make it sit upright a little bit more. Okay, that feels pretty good. Now, normally, grenades really shouldn't have all their pins drop out like this. That would be the sign of like a major and lethal defect. But here it's just kind of a convenient narrative thing to happen. There are some parts of this where I really am just like, did I not use a model for this? The angles on this helmet are really clean. Hot damn, did I do all that? Hmm. Something that I've been thinking about is trying to get back into art studies once the comic winds down a little more. Hang on. Alright, hang on. Just line width, simplify. Source. Trust me! Like, source. Bro, trust. You can trust, dude. Source. Dude, when have I ever lied to you? Source. It came to me in a dream. I remember there was this one dude on Reddit who said that the best way to cite something that you saw in a dream is to, because this person had a mathematical formula, but it literally came to them in a dream. That's how they got it. So this guy was he was kind of like panicking, like, how do I even like cite that in my paper? And this guy was like, just write it down on a blog article and have that be like the thing. Make a blog article about it, and you can just then say that that's where you found it. And it's moments like this where I realize that academia might work less on like rigorous scientific principles and perhaps more so on like on similar basis to like fairy law or something. It makes sense, they have a lot of overlap. You have to know the right rules. If you eat anything at one of these like events, you're cursed forever to stay there. uh, Obsession with names and the source of those names is a form of power. I'm just saying, there are parallels to be drawn here. I wonder if I would have gotten in trouble for trying that back in middle school. I was in one of those schools where you're like citing papers in APA from like day one, right? And so I forgot that Hawk's helmet has a little lipstick mark on it. That's adorable. Hang on. That's which side of the helmet is that on? Okay, that is on her right. So it would also be here. Let me add that as a note here. Okay, there, and yeah, that works for now. Oh yeah, and we did keep it consistent page over page. That's good. Here's an idea. Let me use the transform tool over here. Okay. There we go. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, then over here. Hold on, we're lagging. Why are we lagging? Oh, thank God. Not the stream, I mean, the program itself was freaking out a little bit. Imagine if reinstalling Fallout 3 somehow led to a chain of events that ended up with me corrupting every file on my computer, especially like the ones related to the comic. That is such a weirdly realistic scenario. It's not likely to happen, but I can see it so clearly in my mind. I kind of want to just back up everything tonight. I really should be backing these up somewhere. God, I think Bethesda rightfully gets a lot of flack, but I feel like to their credit, they've never had a game that like accidentally deletes files off of your computer. I've heard a lot of nasty Bethesda bugs, but I don't think that's ever been one of them. So credit where credit's due. They haven't reached the true bottom of the game breaking of like the bug barrel, so to speak. Or they might have. I don't know. I never played Starfield. That might have happened in that game. Although from everything else I've heard, the Starfield deleting files off of your computer might be the most exciting thing that happens related to Starfield. Hey yo. I don't know. Everybody seemed really excited to play Starfield, but like the closer we got to release date, the more people realized, hey, wait a minute. This is just Skyrim in space again. Or I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe it has more nuance to it than that. I don't know. I just don't think. Maybe it's something about the more recent like game dev news cycle or something. I don't know if you've seen Monster Factory by the McElroys, but I think you'd like their Monster Factory Fallout videos. Oh, Monster Factory! Oh, that takes me back. Oh my God, Final Pam! I remember those a little bit. Oh, I should rewatch those one of these days. I remember their like Second Life one for some reason really made me bust a gut. I think I should rewatch this soon. I think I've missed them, missed them without missing them, so to speak. The one McElroy video, which I will always have near and dear to me in my heart, is that one of that asymmetrical multiplayer game where one of the players is like playing as a child and the other player is like playing as the parent of the child, and the goal is to like avoid having the child accidentally injure itself with random household objects. I think dogs should vote. God, I forgot that's where that came from. Oh my God. There was like this point in time, I'm gonna say like from 2018 to 2019, or at least that's kind of when I remember them the most, where most corners of the internet were touched by McElroy content in one way or another. Were they the ones who like coined like heck and pupper or something like that, or like calling everything boy? Y'all remember when that happened? Ay, ay, ay. What a relatively innocent time. We had no idea what was coming in the next 5 to 4 years, 4 to 5 years. I don't. One of the two. We just had no notion of what it would be like. Oh lordy. What a much more innocent and jovial time. It was pretty cynical as well, relatively, like if you're looking at it objectively, it was still a pretty cynical time, but relatively speaking, what an innocent time. They didn't do Heckin' Pupper, but they did do a good Sweet Boy and a good old Nasty Boy. Right, Nasty Boy. That's the one that they coined. Did we ever check up on the person who coined the phrase like "pure cinnamon roll, too good for this sinful earth" or something? Have we checked on them? Do we know what they're up to? Are they all right? Did they need to go into witness protection at one point? I feel so bad for people who coin like internet neologisms that that are eventually that people eventually do like a 180 on and then call cringe. It's really not their fault that language has a half life of like 5 days on the internet. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, then over here. But yeah, I think the reason that I thought of like Heckin' Good Pupper and the McElroys is because like uh there was that one Twitter account about like rating dogs, right? And every single dog got like a 10 out of 10, and like it was like their good dogs friend. I think that's also from kind of like that era of the internet. That also happened very close to that time. I think that's why they're conflated in my mind. They were right though; those were some pretty good dogs. Some mighty fine beasts. Okay, and over here. Something's knocking me off about this boot sole. Okay, then widen this one out a little bit. I got the okay. I've talked about some of my beverage preferences on the channel before, right? I've talked about like my experiences trying to make coffee coke and such at home. I think one of the ones that I haven't discussed yet is okay. So do they have peace tea in the U.S.? Do they have like that like that peach tea that comes in a can that's called like peace tea and it's got like a hand doing the peace sign on the can? Do they have that in the U.S.? Over here, we're gonna have the other half of the boot. Let me check on the internet. Peace Tea US. It might even be a US corporation. They just saw it here. Not that I've heard of. They do make them. Blah blah blah. Assorted iced tea beverages produced by the Coca-Cola Company. Okay. Originally produced by the Monster Beverage Corporation. Ooh, how about that? All right, hang on. Let me pull up a picture of these. We've got Arizona Sweet Tea and Snap selling with an S. That a Snapple maybe? Hang on. This is the what do you call what the can looks like. We have these up here in Canada, right? Okay. Oh, apparently this one is a competitor of Arizona brand of iced tea in the ready-to-drink beverage category, as well as drinks from Snapple and Pepsi. The current CEO of Peace Iced Tea is Mark Rampolla, having worked with the Coca-Cola Company for 18 years consecutively. Oh god, check out this pretentious ass section. The peace symbol inspiration. The peace symbol is a universal symbol for peace, which was the very inspiration behind the creation of peace tea. Hang on. TC is whatever you want it to be, man, says the brand's official website, which is festooned with peace signs. How often do you get to see somebody whip out festooned? That's like a sometimes word. Peace tea stands for social awareness while maintaining its soul. In the form of a mere liquid, it can be your own form of poetry, man. God. It really does hurt to see whenever like a corporate brand tries to be like about poetry or expression of the soul. My brother in Christ, you are not an artist. You are making tea. On the one hand, I can kind of understand, right? Packaging and particularly for tea, I feel like due to Arizona iced tea, packaging is such an important part of the food industry. But like when you try to make your brand social awareness and like soulfulness and poetry, it stands diametrically opposed, I feel, to the kind of core purposes and responsibilities you have as a corporation. The company took it upon themselves to promote their products as a form of artwork to move away from the commercial use of the peace symbol, though the monster logo could be found on each original design. Wait, really? Hang on, maybe we can find it on here somewhere. The original peace tea can designs were created by Steve Jugon and an artist, John Malloy, aka Flux, in homage to the different peace movements throughout history. Huh. Mr. Malloy is a mixed media artist who began drawing at a very young age. He later earned a background in old master style painting and has since been self-taught with fine art, illustration, comics, and design. His illustrations have been featured in a variety of publications, including the Big Book of Contemporary Illustration and the Elusive 3 Book of Contemporary Illustration. The Elusive 3? What kind of Shonen Jump thuggery is this? The Elusive 3. They're known as the Big 3. His artwork led each peace tea packaging can to tell a story behind a significant peace movement throughout history. Okay. Huh. Interesting. But yeah, I like to get myself whenever I can this snowberry flavor one. I'm a big fan. They say that the monster symbol is on here somewhere, huh? Hang on, let me see if we can find it somewhere. Oh, I see. So okay, so for example, in this one, they've got it on this. I want to say raccoon. This mammal of unknown origin. I wonder if they just don't have that on there anymore because it's no longer part of the Monster Corporation. It's now part of the Coca-Cola Corporation proper. That might be the case. Hmm. The boots are too short. I think that's also what's bugging me about this. The boots are maybe a little bit too short. Also, one more thing. There we go. I'm just trying to work the perspective on the boots a little bit more. Okay, then we move this part here up a little bit over here, and actually move the whole thing down. No, hang on. A little bit yes, but a little bit no. All right, so here's the plan. Move this part just down just a little bit, just a tiny bit. Give it a little bit of extra give, and then move the leg itself outward a little bit. As for this one, I'm trying to figure out how to fiddle it the right way. Hmm. No, that doesn't seem to be making the. That doesn't give me the right solution. Unless, hang on. What if I feel like if I flip this around. Okay, I think that did it. No, it didn't. That was wishful thinking. All right. Maybe auxiliary idea. May reduce the kind of oomph of the shoe here. I can never give art lessons. I just call it the kind of tallness of the shoe the boomph. His ass is not qualified to be an art teacher. There's probably a very technical word for it. The volume? I guess the volume might be the closest one. Let me thin out the line here. Hmm. Hang on. What if I just like grab this one and is that too much? Is it too much to have that? I feel like in that case it yeah, no, that's kind of like that one picture of Willem Dafoe kind of fully akimbo. Hang on. Wait, Willem Dafoe could do a full split? Holy shit. Go grandpa. This is the one that I was talking about, but like oh my god. That's awesome. I hear that recently they've been re-airing Spider-Man 2 in some theaters in the US. Yeah, I think V went to see Spider-Man 2 the other day because they're doing reruns of it in the theater. Long-legged grandpa. Yeah. Peepaw long legs. I remember that. I remember there was this one bit from the production of It, right? That the movie based on the Stephen King book, where the clown is doing some kind of weird contortionist shit, and they're like, "Yeah, man, don't worry. Well, just walk out like this, and we'll like add it in with CG." And he's like, "Oh, but I can actually do that though." And they're like, "You can what?" And he proceeds to do the weird contortionist thing they wanted the clown to do just by himself because he had contortionist training. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it was pretty influential for the time, but I don't know. Was the clown from It ever put in Dead by Daylight? I feel like that's how you can tell whether or not it like left a mark. Do they have that beast in there? No, they that guy's not in there. Ultimate Pennywise in Dead by Daylight Iceberg is explained. No, thank you. No, sir. I am not fucking with that. No, thank you. I'm very wary of videos that say iceberg because if they had any kind of salt, I don't know, like if they had any kind of salt to them, right? If they were the real deal, so to speak, I feel like they would just like be a video essay on their own. I don't know. I feel like that might be a little bit of judgment and my own biases, though. I don't know. I've never seen an iceberg video properly. I just get the feeling that whenever they have an iceberg video, like the bottom of the iceberg is going to be like some of that "did you know" gaming type shit, where it's just like a fun thing of trivia that I already know because I'm a freak. Which is not a shame on the "did you know" gaming people or the I almost called it the glacier people, the iceberg people. It's not my fault that I have like weird amounts of esoteric knowledge. It's not their fault that I have weird amounts of esoteric knowledge. I am merely uninterested in their product. It's nothing personal, it's just business. Okay, then move this one over here. Is my pen too thick? I feel like my pen's too thick. Recently, I've been noticing that I'm kind of slipping back into the tendency of mine to always use really thick pens, which isn't I've I don't know. Everybody and their grandma tells me that if you want to improve at art, you need to use like thin pens. And I can understand the principle behind that, right? If you use thick pens, you can use the shape of the pen, right? You obscure more detail in favor of having the thickness, right? So, for example, like right here, I can imply that there's a fold in the fabric just by having the line like that. Whereas if I had just a kind of squiggly line like this, where if I had to use like a really thin pen, right? Like let's say 2.5 pixels, right? I would have to maybe go like this. At least that's how it is in principle, right? You need to like think a little bit harder about where each fold is coming from. At the same time, I just can't say that that's in my nature to do. Well, they did say that it's to improve in it. They don't say that you have bad art if you use a thick pen. They say that if you want to learn how to improve, there's nothing stopping you from training with a thin pen and then using a thick pen when you go beast mode on the canvas. Okay, then over here. But like I said, that's just one of those things that's just not in my nature to do. I don't know. I'm at a level where I'm pretty happy with what I can do as an artist. Although there are times when I wish I could do more. I should try to follow those ambitions a little bit more closely. I remember somebody once said like, if there, you know how like some people are like, oh, there's no such thing as like genuine generosity. Everybody's always doing something because they expect something out of it, even if that something is like gratitude or something. I think like it was kind of a discussion on that, and like what they essentially said is that there's no such thing as like a selfish motivation for self improvement. Like just like how there's no truly selfless principle behind generosity, there's no truly selfish desire for self improvement. Take that with a grain of salt, though. As always, there can be a lot of nuance with these things. Something about this leg seems off. I think it's the knee. Let me push this thing in a little bit more. No, that didn't fix it. Or maybe it is the knee and it just needs to be a little bit. No? Or maybe it is the knee and the problem is that it's not like. Okay. Oop. Oop. I think I'm gonna crack the code. Okay, then just have over here. I think I see what it is. It's that the this thing of the boot isn't quite lined up to the leg. So maybe if I have this here. Let me remove like half of this stuff. No, but then the direction of the boot doesn't make sense. So then hang on, I've got an idea. Just a slight bit of adjustment. How's that? I think that worked. Oh yeah. Speaking of Willem Dafoe, I remember one time my friend met Willem Dafoe at a film festival or something in town. He got a picture with him and everything. It was really cool seeing somebody you know next to somebody famous too. He was pretty happy about it. I'm glad he got to fulfill. I wouldn't say it was his ambition, but it was definitely something that he was happy to do. I don't know. Is it possible to realize that something is your dream after you've accomplished it? Like, do you think there's ever a moment where you're like, huh, now that I've done this, I think it was kind of my dream all along to do something like this. I think that's definitely possible to have happen to you, if maybe not so often an occurrence. But I can believe that it's happened to someone before. No, that's not quite right. And just kind of filing off the top of this part here. Could it be that maybe I've made the thigh here too long? Hmm. Nope. Then the thigh is too low on the too low behind the knee. Put it back for a minute. Let's see what we were working with earlier. I think I see what happened. Now the problem isn't that the knee is misplaced, it's that the knee is too long. It's a little lanky. So then I think the solution then is to move the leg outward over here. Very good. I think what might also help is just adding some fabric to the knee here. Yeah. Okay. The thigh holster, before I forget and it comes back to haunt me. I've brought this up a lot. The reason I tend to make such simplified character designs is because I'm so scared of forgetting a detail. Like if I made like a character like one of them Genshin Impact Day things, I would be struggling every day of my life. Not because it's also just so many details to draw per page, but also because I would just be forgetting those details too. Like even if I remember the majority of them, eventually I would just pare them down so much that only a few of the original details remained. And by that point, I could have just been economic and just made them that way to begin with. A lot of it is about the economy of language of images. Because with a character design, you can only communicate so many things. A character's design, besides like their clothing, their body shape, and everything, is also like the language of their body, right? Their expressions, how they seem to stand and sit and walk and talk. I feel like with those, you have if it's just like the character A posing or T posing, right? Um, it can be a little bit difficult to communicate that, but something's also wrong here. Hang on. Okay, there. And ooh, and having the leg pointed downward. Yes, sir, this works. I feel like the boot should be higher though. And also this makes it look like she's got two left feet, so maybe yeah, there we go. Usually you only say somebody has two left feet in the context of dancing, but in this case it was rather literal. I don't know if I'm a particularly good or bad dancer, but I definitely have the enthusiasm, and I think that counts for something. I do enjoy getting funky. Although it's gotten a little bit hard to do that ever since COVID hit. I've just been wearing masks everywhere. About engaging in the more painterly half-layer art method, so I'm feeling very Squidward looking out a window when you erase lines. The half-layer art method. Can you tell me more about that? I've never heard of that one. Half-layer art method. I can kind of understand. I understand the feeling perfectly, though. It sounds like you're having a rough time there. Oh yeah, I was gonna say you've kind of been killing it lately with the kind of character designs that you've been doing, Bunny. Not half layer, but 1 to 2 layers. Oh, like an I see. Yeah, but now the recent creature designs you've been making are very kick ass. Even outdoing yourself. That or you're reposting old ones and I haven't been noticing. But either way, your art is great. Okay, then add this one over here. Then I feel like the sole of the boot still needs to be like bigger. More weight. God. I I do I will say the one thing that ruined my language forever from reading slash watching The Crucible, the I forgot John Ennui? No, John Ennui was like a different dude. Who wrote The Crucible, the play? Hang on. Arthur Miller. Arthur Miller, that guy. Yeah. The one thing about the Crucible that changed my language forever is that now whenever I think of saying like more X O I Z or something, or like more weight specifically, I remember the guy that they pressed to death in that play, Giles Corey. I've forgotten the names of most everybody in the play except that guy. Literally the themes I remember, the basic plot structure I remember, but the actual names of the people, complete blank, except for Giles Corey. That's how much of a thug Giles Corey was. Rather than snitch on anybody for like going to the witch's bacchanal or what have you, he was just like, nah, man, just kill me. What a guy. I remember watching this other movie. I don't remember what it was called either. It was a very similar situation. Well, no, not really. I was going to say it's a very similar situation to Crucible, but it's kind of like the opposite situation where they have a either a Christian or an ex-religious dude visit like this island cult, and he and a bunch of other people are. I don't remember if it's to like rescue his sister or rescue somebody that he gets paid to rescue, something like that. But yeah, I remember that one because it had a very disturbing execution for one of the characters. And that's kind of like maybe why I'm relating those two in my mind. And also just like the Puritan witch hunt aspect of it. There wasn't a witch hunt in the movie that I'm thinking of, but there was like an execution similar to what was done in the witch trials. Okay, then over here. And then this way I can also get away with a little bit more deformation on the torso here. Because I've applied this kind of extreme perspective. Let me thin out the lines though. That's the wrong tool that I was using just now. This is the connected vector lines one. That's absolutely not what I want to do. Connect vector lines is such a double-edged sword because on the one hand, it is extremely useful for what it does, and it's very useful for like smoothing out certain parts. But if you use it wrong, it just looks so. It's like that one thing of like, you know how some people demaster games as a hobby? They deliberately make the game either lower resolution or they recreated it as a much more simplified like GBA game or something. That's kind of what it looks like. It looks like the graphics quality settings got bumped down by a little bit. Sometimes I play on low graphic settings just for the sheer just out of sheer principle. You know, even though I have a high end machine now, I still occasionally run games in low specs just for the culture, I suppose, for the solidarity of it. I have to remember where I came from. It keeps me humble. Otherwise, I'm going to turn into one of those whingy people who complain on Twitter about, oh man, I've been trying to run Elden Ring at ultra high 4K real screen technology for hours now, but I can't get anything more than 140 FPS. I'm going to become one of those people, and I don't like that future for myself. Hmm. Come to think of it, what's my stream output like? I think I do have. I do think I can like put the stream up to like. I do think the maximum stream quality is like 1080p, or at least I'm pretty sure I have it set that way. I think if I remember, I checked on a YouTube video a while ago, and it does give me like the option for 1080p. I honestly don't think you need more than that. Whenever I see options that are like 4K, like 60 FPS, I get a little scared. I do become a little nervous. I feel like we weren't supposed to have images in that high of a fidelity. It's kind of like how if you give somebody who's ever only used their phone to access the internet and technology, like a Chromebook, they're like, "Wow, what an amazing device!" But if you give them like a Linux computer, they'd be like, "What the fuck is this? Oh my god, put it back." Uh, I think if I had the option to go back in time just a couple of years, maybe a decade or two, if that was like the upper limit of the time travel devices I could have, I would definitely try to encourage the Linux users to not be so to make it a little bit more accessible because nowadays like we are constantly pestered by shit like, oh, Windows wants you to update to Windows 11 and install Copilot, and well, actually I haven't had like an updated MacBook for years now, but I can't imagine the kind of bullshit that they're on right now. And I feel like the only way to stave that off is to kind of take the responsibility in our hands and suck it up and use Linux or something. But at the same time, it's a little daunting to use Linux. Some people will be like, "Oh no, it's like super easy," but like even that easiness has like 40 steps into it. And maybe it's easy to them because they have experience with it, and then like in retrospect, it's easy. I guess the same could be said of most operating systems, right? You know, if you were to show an Apple user, right, a Windows, and be like, oh yeah, if you want to download your stuff, you have to like go to this folder and this folder and this folder here, and also you access those through the quick access menu now, and they'd be like, oh god, but can't I just like do like a 3-tap gesture on my touchpad? And of course, we'd have to be like, well, we don't do that here. And conversely, if you showed a Windows user a MacBook, right, the MacBook user would be like, yeah, well, if I want to read something from my disk drive, I actually have to like go to my regional settings and make sure that I'm in the supported region of the DVD. And the Microsoft dude would be like, well, that sounds dumb as hell. And they would be right. That's the thing that always pissed me off. I don't remember like what caused it, but I remember that there were like region locks on like the DVDs, and if you switched your region more than 6 times, you couldn't change it anymore. That never happened to me because I never ended up using that many DVDs, but it's still irksome. Particularly because since I switched to an external DVD drive, it no longer has that issue either. So this is very much like an OS thing. Some kind of like weird, perverse OS bound anti-piracy measure, I imagine. I don't know how it would help against piracy to essentially region lock people, but beats me. Yeah, I remember that was mostly for the MacBook that had like a disk drive in it. Ever since I got an external disk drive, that I have not had that problem, especially not on the Windows computer. God, I wish Microsoft would shut the fuck up about Copilot, though. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about that thing. Thankfully, I've gotten it off my own system, particularly by violently and quickly uninstalling Windows 11 the one time I accidentally accepted the upgrade. Which is an awful thing to do, right? If you are just starting up your computer, it should be illegal to like ask you if you want to upgrade to Windows 11 on startup of your machine before you've even logged in. I feel like that should not be a thing that you are allowed to do, because then you have fringe situations like mine where I'm just like bleary eyed on 8 hours of sleep was actually the amount you're supposed to get, on 3 hours of sleep, being like, oh my god, I got to start the day, and then you're punching in the your access code, and you're like, blah 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 blah, and your monitor hasn't lit up yet, and you're like, okay, just enter or go, and it turns out that now you've accidentally accepted a free upgrade to Windows 11, and also a swarm of locusts are rapidly approaching your location. By the by, that second part didn't actually happen to me, but that's kind of what it felt like to have it happen to me. In the landscape of my mind, that is the exact emotion that I underwent. Does that mean that they couldn't get enough people to download the upgrade to Windows 11 and they just had to enforce it on people to actually download any copies at all? I guess I should be happy that it's a free upgrade rather than something that they ask you to pay for. Because then if I had to refund something on top of having to uninstall Windows 11, I really might have I really might have snapped. Thankfully that was not the case. Page 13. Once we finish this page, it'll be just 2 more pages before we're finished. That's hard to believe. Well, then there is also the matter of coloring the pages, and collecting the pages from that one dark, scary forest near my house. But that's fine. It's not like anything lives there. But yeah, after this, it's just 2 more pages, and we should be cool. I think 1, 2. Yeah, no, it's just 2 more. Oh, thank God! I can still remember how to count. I wouldn't put it past people to never ever update unless you had to blast it right in front of their eyeballs with no easy escape. That's fair. Slender Paps, the remnants of putting Paps clone on the rack. God. I do wonder what would be the funnier idea if my body is just fully malleable and I can just like rework my body, but I have to like morph it using like baking techniques or like rice mochi techniques, or if I operate on some kind of like monkey D. Luffy principle and I can just like stretch my limbs at will, but it has a tremendous rubber band effect. So whenever I do it, whatever I usually grab ends up slamming right back in my face. Evil Pabs has long bones. I think that was like literally the plot of my 2016, not my 2016, the 2024 April Fool's joke that I made. Hang on. Did I not? Where did I put that even? Should be somewhere around here. Oh yeah, here we go. Remember this fucking thing? where I made every single face of mine like Skylar White Geo? Something that nobody noticed, and I don't know, and I don't know whether I'm kind of proud that nobody noticed this, or kind of sad that I put so much effort into this. Is that if you kind of slice this into fours, you do end up with lost.jpg. And that's a very stupid joke, and it was almost not worth putting in. But I felt it was so much of a mid joke. I ended up looking like a Asterion. Toast pointed this out to me. I do end up looking a little bit like a Asterion with eyes and everything like that. But I've never even played Baldur's Gate 3. My perception of Slenderman has been forever altered by seeing a rejected creepypasta.com submission that it read very much as Twilight for people who want to bone Slenderman. Yeah, my perception of Slenderman was kind of wrecked when I found out that there was like some kind of incident at a there was like some kind of incident about people who believe the stories to be real, and so that's, even though I fundamentally find Slenderman very funny, I try not to think about him too much. Also, he scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Holy crap! I remember it clearly now. Back in my middle school, if you wanted to get some private time during lunch, you would go to like the music classroom, which had like a couple of like what do you call those booths with acoustic padding. Yeah, that one, those kids. Yeah. But yeah, and I remember going to those places, to the rooms with acoustic padding with my friends, and just watching old YouTuber playthroughs of Slenderman, the first page, the 8 page or something like that. Those two games, Slenderman: The Awakening or something like that. Slenderman Termination Day. Wait, no, Judgment Day. Slenderman Judgment Day. Jeez, that young, huh? Poor kids. Well, no, I guess that's maybe not the phrase I should be using, but like, jeez. Terminator versus Slenderman. Terminator win easy, GG easy. Terminator low diff Slenderman. No if, ands, or buts. Like in a lot of the the thing is, right? Especially if it's like the liquid metal Terminator, Slenderman doesn't have a chance. Like if it's the normal Terminator, Slenderman might have a hard time, but he might be able to clutch it. But if it's like the liquid Terminator that literally can just let things like loop through its body, Slenderman's main methods of violence are just right out. Although I guess like the Slenderman also produces like static, right? Like based on those games. So maybe I don't know. Maybe there is some degree of machine interference that would give him an edge. That's assuming he can do anything before the Terminator caps him. I remember we watched so many playthroughs of it that one of my friends accidentally found a fanfic for the game and thought that it was like officially published material. They didn't know what fanfiction was. Imagining a creepypasta fighting game where one of the supers or something of that nature unleashes a herd of slender cousins whose names I cannot recall. Yeah, that's also a problem for Slenderman. You know, he goes to the Slender family gathering every year, and he can never remember all his cousins' names. Was there a metrosexual Slenderman? What if Slenderman, but he just had a very finesse filled contour, like just the most beautiful contour you've ever seen on his non-existent cheekbones. What if there was a cunty Slenderman? What if there was Slater Man? What if the okay? I see your creepypasta fighting game. What about a creepypasta version of that Drag Race TV show? I feel like we could do something with that because now we have because fighting game makes sense. That's like them in their element. But what if we had to put them out of their element? We all know that they can slay, but which one of you can slay? That kind of setup. It's an interesting twist to me. The idea has wrinkles to me. Do you know of Dragula? I've never heard of Dragula. Hang on, let me Google something. Wait, do you mean as in slam in the back of the Dragula, or is hang on? Had to clip that. Thank you, buddy. Dragula horror themed drag competition show? Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Astron the Lore Keeper. Greetings and Mama New, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great time today. We are having an excellent time. I just found out that there's a drag competition that has horror themes. Yo, this is kind of cool. Oh, hell yeah. Check this out. What else I got? What else I got? Oh, dude, I love these. This is so cool. Big fan of the. Is that supposed to be like a Wicker Man thing? Or I don't know what this one's supposed to be, but it looks. I like whenever it has like branches and natural stuff in there. That's dope. Damn, that's awesome. That reminds me of like this one show that I went to. I don't remember if it was a burlesque or a drag show where there was somebody who I do think it was a drag show. The challenges are things like eating bugs and other scary things outside, the usual drag competition things. Oh, like a fear factor kind of thing. I see. But yeah, I there was this one show where there was this person in seems pretty cool. As I always say, Halloween is not a day, it's a lifestyle. True that. So it was really cool because they had this person on stage, right, with a prop knife and whatnot. And they were like moving kind of jerkily and awkwardly, and you could it was like a zombie walk kind of thing, and they had like the ghost face mask on, right? But then what they did is that they turned around and and the whole time they were like backwards, like their actual face like was like here, and the ghost face mask was like behind them, and they were actually like holding the knife like this. I don't know if I'm communicating what they did here, but it was so tight. I really want to use that in a character design at someday. That's such a cool trick. Which creepypasta guy would win, not Dracula? Smiledog.jpg. If it's like a vote space competition, that dog is gonna win it all. If it was if it had to be like a humanoid one though, I do think Slenderman would actually take it. The Slenderman, I feel like it would be a close competition between Ben Drowned and it would be and Slenderman, because hang on, let me pull up the statue. So I feel like this face here, right? I feel like if you got some contour on that, hang on, let me see if we can't do something for this guy real quick. Where's my symmetry ruler? It's like I feel like if we got some like maybe like some like oh, never mind, hang on. There we go. I think a lot of the usual creepypasta dudes would ruin their run because they are or were nervous teenagers. That is a thing. That is a thing too, right? Hang on. A stronger streamer than me, a more competent streamer that's more competent with makeup than me, could probably make a real good run out of yassifying creepypasta pictures. So, like, listen, here I've just applied some kind of incompetent basic eyeshadow and contour. But like you can see what I mean, right? The cheekbones, the shapes of this face are very strong. So I feel like that would make Ben Drown definitely a top fiver in the running. The problem is though that Slenderman has two advantages to him. First of all, he does have a perfectly smooth face, which can provide a lot of flexibility when it comes to the challenges. However, and in addition to that, he also has very long legs, which could be great for like death drops and such. However, he does run the risk of over relying on those as his gimmick, because if you just have an empty canvas to begin with, there's no room for growth. I feel like that would be his greatest challenge, is finding ways to keep it fresh. Because if he just shows up each time with like something completely new drawn on his face, even that's eventually going to get old. Right? He has gifts and advantages to him, but if he doesn't know how to go beyond those and find a real good source of creativity, and that's where I think he's going to struggle the most, is just having that creativity. Have you seen? Oh yeah, I guess he's also not that good of an artist. Like, have you seen the art on those pages that he leaves around? Not very good. You know, I try not to bash anybody's art, but the Slenderman pages do not inspire a whole lot of confidence in his ability to handle delicate precision art like makeup. Slenderman has a figure to get away with plenty of revealing outfits that don't have much substance. That's a thing, right? He has a lot of advantages. It's okay, you just pay people to make your outfits. That's true. But yeah, that's my thing about Slenderman. He has a lot of advantages. But I'm not sure that will be enough. I don't know if that's going to be enough to win him, to get him to take home the prize at the end of the day. I guess it would also depend on his resources. Man doesn't even have to shave his brows. Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, while we're talking about, I do think that Jeff the Killer would probably be like bottom three in terms of the power levels of the competition. Mainly because, as you mentioned, he was probably like a nervous teenager before. I'm pretty sure that's his backstory, is that he was some kind of like nervous teenager. But so that doesn't lead me to inspire that he has like the kind of confidence needed for a lot of this. He's probably going to choke in a lot of these situations. Somebody's going to toss their drink on him during a fight, and well, I should save my work. Honestly, I do feel like that's the one room that you should just not drop your drink in front of. Like, I know some people deliberately pick a fight by throwing their drinks, and in other cases, it's just like a misunderstanding that can get cleared up. But this is the one room where you absolutely do not want that to happen, because it's not just full of people that are going to fuck you up physically. These people got some fucking sorcery behind them most of the time. So that's also a factor that you need to be aware of. Actually, that does bring the question of who exactly is going to like oversee all this, right? Who exactly should we trust to be an impartial judge in this? Because I feel like just because of the power levels involved, you're definitely going to need like Goku or something presiding over the whole thing, protecting whoever's judging the competition or being the judge. You need to have your security game. You need to have like your security A game on during this time. Okay. Very close. Just need to. There we go. Security provided by the SCP Foundation. God, what if it was like a zero? What if it was like a 9 person, 9 hours, 9 doors kind of situation, and the leader of the kind of ringleader of the whole thing was this very enigmatic person. And eventually at the end of the season, you peel back the curtain, and it turns out that it is the big lizard SCP, just chilling out and being the brains behind the whole operation. Like SCP-682, I think that's the one. 682 has agreed to leave Earth if somebody can challenge him in terms of cuntiness. Join my the drag death game. How is that already not like some itch.io visual novel? How on earth has nobody thought to make 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors, but like a drag competition? There has to be at least some obscure TTRPG module or something out there with that concept. Are you a fierce enough dude to fight this lizard in a drag battle? I still think that I don't know. People who develop itch.io games don't go to drag shows, I guess. Oof. On the bright side, I suppose that means that there's new ground to try to, no matter where you go, right? Now, if you're really not ashamed of being like some kind of blatant parody, you could call the game Drag Run Rompa. But I do think you might you might get sued for that one. That's flirting a little bit too close with copyright laws. Okay, then over here we'll have this. Honestly, there's a convention I go to every year in the town where I live, and one of the events that I try to not miss ever since I went to it the first time is the burlesque show they have and the drag show they have. They are both such fun experiences. Okay, then over here. Put this over here. There we go. If you do the most unbiased judge layer of all, then you can request Primus to oversee the competition. Primus, huh? Is that also a creepypasta guy, or is that a normal guy? Hang on. Oh, is that a Transformer guy? The god creator of the Transformers. Until all are one. Primus has children and Trap. Huh. I'm glad that I was never made familiar with Transformers lore. As a kid, I like Transformers just fine, but I was never like one of those dudes who was like super into Transformers as a kid. And I'm glad that that's the case because now I get to experience what like some people experience when they've heard lore of a show that they know nothing about. That's just batshit insane. Like, have you ever seen the look on a person's face when you first tell them about like the Archie comics evil counterpart of Sonic called Scourge, who I think almost literally cucked him at some point? Have you ever seen the expression on someone's face when they first learn about him? It's something special, let me tell you that much. Primus is the god of the plane of law, Mechanus. Ah, it's a D&D thing. I see. Primus, the only person who can perhaps unironically say, I am the law. I remember seeing this one web video at some point called like "What if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device?" And it was a very cynical show. It was set in the 40k universe where they, as the name implies, they gave like the God Emperor of mankind a text-to-speech device so he could actually talk from his shiny chair. And I remember watching a few episodes of it. I never really got past the first season or so. But I remember that I like to think that like all law line gods are kind of like that. Just like this very crabby old man. Let me take a look at this. Okay, so this is left side, right side. What pun reference would you use for a drag name? Huh. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think real hard here. The only one that comes to like the top of my head is Chow La Fan, because that's the name of a fried rice dish that. So Chow La Fan is the South American take on Chow Fan, the Chinese fried rice dish, and I think like that sounds sufficiently feminine to be used as a drag name. I don't know. I don't know. The thing about me is that I'm good at wordplay, but I'm not too familiar with the mechanics of drag names. I'm basing this entirely off of my knowledge of that one Ratatouille post. That's like that Linguini's drag name would be Lin Gwyn. That's about the extent of my knowledge on the topic. I don't have the knack for it just yet. Also, I need to move this. There's La Beja ballroom family named Jasmine Rice. Ooh. In that case, maybe I could go with something like basmati or something like that. There's a lot of possibilities. I don't see myself doing drag in the future, unfortunately. But so thankfully, I have some time to um, formulate on that a little bit more. We've got time to workshop it, is what I'm saying. Are drag names kind of like clown makeup, where like you have to file them in like one big consortium, and yours can't be too similar to someone else's, or like they draw it on an egg and everything? Is it kind of like that, or can you just straight up do rip-offs of names? I know, like parodies of fictional character names are on the table, or at least so I would assume. Not food thing, but a recent Drag Race queen is named Amanda Tori Meeting. That got me good. That's a real good one. Okay, then putting this over like this, we can make the circle back here a little bit more comfortably. Just seems like you can get away with references to brands with just fine with names. Huh. So I guess the roof really is the limit. In a way, that almost makes it more complicated too, because then you don't have anything holding you back. It's easier to make something with as much as constraints can limit you. Sometimes it's almost easier to make something with specified constraints. At least that's how I operate. Okay. Okay, then on this one, which side were these on? Okay, this is going to be the side that doesn't have any, doesn't have the buckle. Okay. Okay. Here's an idea. Do you all know about the No Name brand up here in Canada? The one with like very bright yellow packaging. Hang on, let me see if I can pull up a picture of it. Limitation helps with the imagination because they force you to find ways to work around those limitations. Yeah, the yellow packaging. Yeah, like this one. Let me hit you with this one. Hang on. Where's my normal font? There it is. How about Nona Main? That's kind of close. Or I guess it would be more like Nona Nona name. It works? Okay, cool. Nona aim. Okay, yeah. I think that would be it for me. I have much respect for this bright yellow packaging. Okay, then. Ooh, we might have to move this one up a little bit. Whoops. All right, what we need to do is we need to rotate this one around just so it kind of fits with the placement of this club because I really like how that came out. French version called some version of Sansanom. That's so much better. Actually, that one actually kind of goes harder than Nona Aim. And now, also Samsa Nom reminded me a lot of the name Gregor Samsa, which makes me think of like a metamorphosis themed drag show. Gregor Samsa was author, right? No, Franz Kafka is the author. Gregor Samsa is the main character. The name Gregor Samsa appears to derive partly from literary works Kafka had read. A character in the story of young Renate Fuchs by German novelist Jacob Wassermann is named Gregor Samasa. Bug. The Viennese author Leopold von Sacher-Masoch, whose sexual imagination gave rise to the idea of masochism. Cool. That's kind of a big thing to be built for, honestly. Is also an influence. Sacher Masoch. Oh, that's wait. Oh, wait. No, it's not based on his name. I see. Sacher Masoch wrote Venus and the Furs, a novel whose hero assumes the name Gregor at one point. Venus in First occurs in the Metamorphosis in the picture that Gregor Samsa had hung on his bedroom wall. No way Gregor Samsa had the equivalent of like a bikini pinup in his in his room. Come on, brother. Drag king named Freddie Rice. Hang on, I gotta bring this one up a little bit. Okay. Freda Rice. Yo, that's pretty good. Frida Rice and her partner Frida Shrimp. Together they make Stir Fry. The dynamic troop duo. Jupiter's kind of out here thinking light years ahead of the ones that I'm at. I'm my imagination for these is kind of rudimentary, and Jupiter's out here just posting banger after banger after banger. You're killing out here. You're killing it out here. Sure fry. Mmm. Okay, then we can have the belt buckle back here. This actually works even better because with the belt buckle back here, I was gonna say it'd be cool if we could have the belt buckle be like like over on here, because then it would have like something to focus on, right? But it's kind of nice having it back here because it almost acts as a kind of diegetic reason for it to be gripped like this. I heart diegetic effects. I love it when when the score of the film is has an in-universe reason to exist. Oh, Corgi! Hello, everyone. I'm Pabs, a racing VTuber and an artist. We're out here drawing some comics. Very nearly done with the graphics of this panel. How was your stream? How was I think you were playing Fate Extra today, right? Camarones is a good basis for a name. That is true. Also, we're discussing drag names out here. We briefly went on a tangent about like which creepypasta would slay the hardest at a theoretical drag race. My money is personally on Slenderman on account of the various advantages he has. You know, long legs, easy to contour kind of face, no need to shave eyebrows. Actually, I think Jupiter raised that last point. And now we're kind of just brainstorming potential rice-related drag names. Cameron Nez, that's fire. That's absolute fire. I'm going to boldly suggest that he would need his whole face contoured because he got no face. That's also a point that I made, is that as time wears on, he would definitely need to like up his creativity, because after a while, like just him contouring his whole face like that is going to get a little bit tiring for the judges. My money's on Jeff the Killer, personally. Really? I had pegged him. I want to understand your reasoning, right? I had pegged him as a relative kind of low tier in this competition. My reasoning being that he was like a nervous teenager before the incident that made him a murderer, right? Like he's just some punk kid. So I feel like that would kind of hinder him in a lot of the confidence that's needed for these. I would like to hear your thoughts on why Jeff the Killer should be a powerhouse, because I kind of see the vision to an extent. I can kind of see the vision, mainly because of the bright red lips. I think that's going to be his main selling point. It's just the fact that he has just those very naturally red bright lips. Those are going to be very striking tools to use. Especially if he can figure out how to transform them successfully. I just think that drags could help his true self shine, you know? Perhaps getting made over like a 90s to early 2000 movies would help, especially with a naturally made up looking face. I see your vision. I understand. I think you are onto something. You are cooking. You know, maybe the reason he's such a nervous guy is because he's never had a chance to truly express himself in a place that is in a kind of competitive space where, you know, even if he's not exactly winning, his creativity is not going unnoticed. You know, maybe the dude just needs an outlet. Maybe that's what they all need. This is why we should expose more kids to drag. Take that, conservatives. I mean, honestly, yeah, it's basically no different than like showing them a puppet show in some cases, right? Or like putting on a silly play. I mean, yeah, I think it benefits kids to just learn about as many crafts as humanly possible, so that they get attached or interested in at least one of them. If not as something to directly participate in, as it is something to spectate in. You know, even if some kid it doesn't realize, it's like, oh man, this drag stuff is so cool, but I don't really have like the means or like the resources to participate. You know, they can still be into it. They can still find some joy in it. They should also get exposed to many different kinds of people. It broadens their horizons and makes them kinder. That's another excellent point. Meet more weird people. That is an order. Yeah, you have to like gain a sort of tolerance for strange people. Otherwise, you're going to be the kind of person who calls the cops whenever somebody strange appears, and you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy. He comes back to the competition much stronger after getting removed from the venue and disqualified after freaking out and stabbing someone after an SCP throws her drink at him during a fight. God, the idea of Jeff the Killer coming back as like like going out in the early season and then coming back like transformed is kind of crazy. I'm very into it. Sad note: my mom is named Karen. I promise she isn't like that. It's just an unfortunate coincidence. Yeah, that happens a lot whenever somebody's name gets turned into not even necessarily a meme, but it's just like not taken that seriously, right? Like, what about people who are actually called Bob? Right? I always my thoughts are always on like people who are like actually called like Kieran or people who are actually called Bob. Like, do they have to deal with this bullshit so many of the time? Like, some dude is like, "Yeah, I'm just Bob," and they're like, "Oh, that can't be your real name." And he's like, "It's a fine name. It's a normal name." That's rough, though. On a completely unrelated note, Jeff comes back on HRT. Let's go. What was girl Jeff called? I want to say Jane, but that might. But I don't. I've never saw art of like girl Jeff. I never got that they even creepy bosses. I just read the big ones as a teenager. Big same. It was really bad for me because I'm the kind of person who gets like fascinated by like horror stuff, but I'm also very easily frightened. So I was just like this scared ass kid, just like sobbing, weeping, crying uncontrollably, reading this shit, hooked on every word. After I'd sated my curiosity, I was fine, but like, goddamn. what an antithetical existence. God. Coming back trance is a staple of Danganronpa, it feels like. Is it? Or Drag Race? please behead me properly, right? I need you to kill me like proper, like if I misinterpreted Drag Race as Danganronpa. I need you to like actually take me out. No, is it you did me Drag Race? I must live in shame. I have to go. I have to like hang on. I gotta. Hey everybody, welcome back to stream. I'm Paps, a Rising VTuber and an artist. We're starting stream now. This is the beginning of the stream. You are you just came in. Congratulations to everybody who just came in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you all doing? Congrats on this meeting on coming out. Yo, a mandatory meeting came out as trans. Congratulations to her. I could see that. I could see that being a pipeline very easily. Actually, I can understand how that's a pipeline, or rather a common occurrence. Pipeline implies that it happens to everybody. I think it's just kind of like a common occurrence. You know, just being able to express yourself more and whatnot. I understand how that can, you know, create the corrective conditions to crack somebody's egg, so to speak. Also, I am about to wrap up stream. I think I just need to finish up this. I'll take care of the jetpack next time. You know, we have all the time this week to finish up this one, and I have some stuff I want to take care of tonight. So we're gonna wrap it up soon. All right, one. Okay, I'm going to finish this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more strokes. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Disclaimer: I don't watch the show, so Dragula also had a queen come out after / during, and this is ignoring all the contestants that are already publicly out. Oh, damn, that's cool. The most recent Dragula season. I see. That's so good though. I feel like it's good that I think it's kind of good that like it's almost like receiving a mid-season power up. It's like Goku learning the Kaioken in there. You know, like you were already good at the drag thing. Now you have the good at the drag thing and no more gender and like more limited like gender internal turmoil. I feel like that's definitely that's like taking off the training weight, so to speak. Oh wait, I forgot this other one. I'll take care of it next time. All right, I'm wrapping things up here for today. Who all is streaming right now? Oh, the most recent Dragula winner is also trans. Nioru X Fashionable. Wait, okay, is their name Nioru X Fashionable or just Nioru X? Neohuru. Worth looking up her looks. I'll check it out. Neohuru X. Ah, okay. All right, I think I'm just going to end it here for today. All right, thank you to everybody who came by. Thank you to Corgi for the raid. I will be back tomorrow with additional comic work. I will see you all then. All right, catch you later. Bye.